Okay, so we're going to start with your hand towel. What we're going to do with this is both a pectoral minor release and a pectoral major release. So two different muscle groups in your chest and shoulders. What you want is a hand towel, a basic small towel, like with those short camping towels can work too. What we're going to do is roll this up into two different sizes. So we're going to start first from seated, finding your breath, and then we'll go onto your back, adding the towel. So just set the towel to the side for now, and then we'll come back to it. To begin, you're going to come into any seated position that's comfortable to you. That could be Sukhasana, cross-legged seat, or easy pose. You could also come into maybe a wide butterfly, soles of the feet together, knees out, getting that hip opener. Neither one of those are comfortable for your hips or your low back for any reason. I don't typically start from seated because of the low back tightness. You can also just come to a basic seat, letting the knees bend. You can even have the knees quite bent and just kind of keep yourself shifted forwards so you're not rounding back on the tail. Wherever that seated position is, if you're in Sukhasana, feel free to sit on a pillow or a blanket. Elevating the hips can also make this position a bit more accessible for a tight low back or tight hips. We're just going to find a few moments to come into our breath. Taking a big inhale, letting your palms rest anywhere on your body. Draw your shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, nice and long breath out as you slowly release the shoulders back down. We'll do that 3 more times. Inhale, shrugging the shoulders up to the ears. And then exhale, just softly, not forcing them down, just letting them go. Okay, 2 more. Inhale. And exhale. Last time, breath in. And breath out. From here, take your palms, flip them upwards to rest towards the ceiling. We'll circle the arms. Inhale now, reaching the arms out, up, connecting your palms overhead at the top. Exhale, trace the center line of your body, and we'll bring your hands to your chest. You'll take your right hand, fold it over your heart. Take your left hand, cross it over the top, fold it onto the other side of your chest. So it's almost like you're making little wings here on your chest itself. If comfortable, close or soften your eyes, maybe gazing down towards the floor, towards your legs, maybe the tip of your nose, or allowing the eyelids to rest gently closed. Take a full deep breath in and a full complete breath out. Again, inhale deeply. Exhale completely. And start to bring your vision from an external vision to an internal vision. Feel your hands against your chest against your hands. Feel the texture and warmth of your clothing, the texture of your breath, and any other sensations that might arise for you in this moment. Allow your breath to continuously deepen until eventually you find a breath where each inhale is the same length as each exhale. Each full cycle of breath the same length as the one before and the one after. Now keeping the eyes closed, still continuing to even out your breath, we're going to begin to tap the palms. So you'll tap the right hand to the chest and then the left. So concurring movements, just little taps, right, then left. Few more of these. Just Feeling the sensation of the taps. Still the weight of the palms, maybe even your heartbeat underneath your right hand. You've got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let the palms still rest on the heart. Allow your eyes to slowly blink back open. Take a deep breath, just feeling again the hands against your heart. And then slowly releasing the palms back down beside you. One more time, inhale, circle your arms up above. Connecting your palms, exhale, tracing your midline, hands to the center of your chest. From here, go ahead and extend your legs forwards if you were in butterfly. Give your legs a little shake out. Flex and point your feet. Get some blood moving back through your knees. And now we're going to reach for your towel. And again, we're going to do 2 different variations with this towel. So you will go down to the floor and then back up to seated and then back down to the floor. Easiest way to do it than trying to adjust the towel while you're lying down. So you're going to start first. I have the towel folded in half lengthwise. So it's thinner and long. You're going to then fold that in half. So it's about like that shape. This shape, you are going to roll up on the short side. So you'll roll that towel up, and it doesn't have to actually roll all the way. You're going to leave a little bit of a flap on the bottom. It's a little less awkward if it doesn't roll up flat. So you'll leave a little bit of flap on the bottom, and then you would have rolled the towel up to the shorter side of it. We're going to lie on this. So you'll place the towel kind of at the top of your mat, and it's going to go across your shoulder blades when we lie down. So you'll find kind of where the bottom of your shoulder blades is, the bottom points of your shoulder blades, and that's where you want the towel to rest. And again, this is going to help to release your pectoral minor. So we're going to, from here, start to ease down on your backs. As you get to your back, then you'll just kind of adjust on that towel again until the towel is across the shoulder blades, but the bottom points of the shoulder blades. Might feel like a lot of sensation, so give yourself a moment here. If you feel like your head is hanging too far back, you can always place a small pillow or even another rolled up towel underneath the nape of your neck to kind of lift the head a little bit so it doesn't feel like it's hanging below your heart. If you feel like this is going to cause any dizziness or lightheadedness for you, please add that towel under your head. From here, let your arms rest out into a wide A position so the shoulders can rotate down and back towards the floor. You can keep your knees bent, maybe coming into a TP position, taking your feet a little wider than your hips, letting your knees rest together at center. You're also free to extend your legs, but that could be a little bit much for the low back. If comfortable, let your body rest heavy here. Maybe again, shutting your eyes. We're going to take another 8 breaths here. Just letting the shoulder blades release. Letting the spine start to melt towards the floor. Maybe feeling your sacrum, the flat part of your low back, get a little heavier onto your mat. Those deep, full breaths, feeling the expansion across your rib cage, collarbones, and chest. Maybe feeling the breath down into the low belly, maybe even down towards the base of the spine. Got about another 4 breaths here. Nice full breath. If the eyes were closed, you might allow them to blink back open at this point. I'm going to roll to one side. So if your legs are extended, bend your knees. If they were in teepee, just walk the feet a little more inwards together. You'll roll to one side, right or left, whichever is more comfortable. You can use your bottom arm as a pillow. Give yourself a moment or two on your side, especially if your head was kind of hanging below the heart. You might feel a little dizzy once you've come up to seated, so resting here can allow that dizziness to sort of fade away before you press back up. Once you feel ready, slowly start to press yourself back up to seated. And then we're going to change the roll of the towel now and the position of the towel. So this one's going to be for your pectoris major. So opening up that towel. Now we're going to, same fold, but now you're going to roll it the long way. So it creates more of a long tube. That tube now is going to go between your shoulder blades down the length of your spine. So if you have an extra long towel, it might feel kind of funky. So if it does, you can always slide it up so that it's under your head as well. So again, we're going to place that towel now vertically down your mat. And you want the towel, again, along the length of the spine, between the shoulder blades. Points to make sure are on the mat are your low back, shoulders, and head. So again, you could always have the towel a little higher so it's under your head for that little bit of lift, but you want to make sure that at least the low back and the back of the head are resting on something. They're not hovering on the ground. So then again, once you have your towel in position, can be adjusted once you get down. No, you're not stuck. Once you get to the floor, you can always shift if needed. And then same thing. This one will give you more of a release in the chest. Let the shoulders relax back towards the floor. Let the spine start to melt to the mat. Take the arms out in a wide A position. Your choice of leg positioning. Maybe back to that teepee shape. You could also extend your legs forwards or keep the knees bent. Just have them in a neutral hips-width distance apart. The teepee is good for widening the low back. It also gives you some of an internal hip rotation, so it can help stretch the outer hip flexors a bit. Again, let your eyes soften close if comfortable. And just start to allow the weight of your upper body to begin to release onto your mat and onto the towel. Notice if there's any resistance along the length of your spine to that towel. If you feel any sore, sticky parts, maybe trying to soften just a bit. We'll be here another 8 to 10 breaths. About 4 or 5 breaths left here. Maybe see if the shoulder blades can release a little closer towards the floor. Soften your jaw, cheekbones. Notice if you're holding tension in the face that might be absorbing the tension from around your shoulders and chest. couple of breaths. Again, if your legs are extended, begin to bend your knees, placing your feet back on the mat. Heel toe your feet in if you were in teepee, so the knees are together, the feet are together, knees bent. This time we're going to roll to your right side, taking the right arm out to the right. From here, shift your hips, roll to your right side, and then once on your right side, reach behind you, remove that towel. Feel free to place it under your head for neck support, or you're just going to have your head, ear resting on your mat. Have your right arm extended out to your right, and then shift your body so that you're on your mat still, upper body, shoulders in line with hips, and then knees are going to be stacked and bent. Deeper of a twist, you're going to take the knees a little closer in towards your chest and belly. Less of a twist, scoot the knees a little further away. Bit more accessible if you're tighter in the upper body. From here, place your left palm on top of your right palm. We're going to begin to move with your breath. Another good stretch for the pecs. On your inhale, now start to lift your left fingertips just up to the ceiling, reaching up, feeling that stretch from shoulder to fingers. And then as you exhale, lower your left hand back down to meet your right. Again, inhale, lift your left arm up. Begin to reach back a few inches until you start to find a bit of a twist in the shoulders and ribs. Exhale, bringing your left palm back to meet your right. We're going to keep going here, increasing the range of motion with your breath. So we're moving into a supine twist, reaching the left fingertips towards the wall behind you, any amount. Each breath, you increase the range of motion as it's safe and comfortable for your body. Your head could follow your fingertips, or gaze could follow your fingertips. You can also keep the gaze forwards to the right hand, or maybe just up to the ceiling. I'm going to take about another 4 to 5 breaths here, working with your range of motion, your flow of breath, to eventually open a bit more across your rib cage, chest, and shoulders. The next time you reach your left arm out to the left, we're going to hold that just a couple of breaths. Try to reach the right fingertips further to the right as the left arm reaches to the left. The back of the hand might come to the floor. It might not. Try not to let the hips shift. So you're only bringing that left arm as far back that you can keep your hips stacked. Take one more breath here. As you inhale, bring your left fingertips back up. As you exhale, bring your left palm back to meet your right. Take a moment here, soften your elbows. You might bring the knees closer into your chest, more of a fetal position. Now from here, roll onto your back. Taking it nice and slow, adjusting hips and shoulders. Once you get to your back, bring your knees into your chest and give your spine a moment now to actually feel the floor underneath it. It's had that towel underneath both times. So now maybe drawing the knees in, you rock a few times side to side, back and forth along the length of your spine. Just massaging into the back a bit. And then draw some circles with your knees, placing your palms on your kneecaps. Circle your knees around your hips, massaging more into your low back. Now from here, keep your knees bent. Place your feet back on your mat. Take your left arm out to the left, and we're going to change sides. Now you'll roll to your left side. As you do, shift your hips so that 1, you're still on your mat. 2, your hips are in line with your shoulders rather than too much of a diagonal angle. Again, closer the knees are to the chest, the deeper the twist will be. Further the knees out, maybe the more accessible the twist is for the ribs and shoulders. Place your right palm on top of your left palm. And then use your next inhale. Start to lift your right fingertips just up to the ceiling. As you exhale, bring your right palm back to meet your left. Again, inhale, taking the right arm up, maybe opening back behind you a few inches, and then exhaling, coming back palm to palm. Inhale again, reaching up, opening, increasing your range of motion with each inhale, finding expansion across the front side of the body. We'll continue here about another 6 breaths or so. And you're working in your range of motion. Again, what feels good and comfortable in your body as you find the reach through the right fingertips. Couple more. Flowing with your breath. This time, as your right arm opens, we're going to hold a few breaths. Again, you're finding a range that is working for you. So maybe that right arm hovers quite a bit above the ground. Maybe it relaxes down. You might be able to bring the back of the right hand to the floor. Try to keep the hips stacked. Notice if you go too deep with the right arm, how the right hip tries to shift back with it. Try to keep your right hip stacked over your left. We've got one more breath here. And now as you inhale, take your right fingertips back up to the ceiling. As you exhale, bring your right palm back to meet your left. Again, 2 breaths to soften elbows, shoulders. And then once again, we'll return to your back, moving slowly, taking your time to adjust your hips back in line with your shoulders. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Draw your knees back into your chest for another hug. Few breaths to move here, rocking, drawing circles with your knees. Whatever feels good to massage your spine. From here, extend both legs forwards out in front of you. Reach both arms over your head. Take a moment to stretch nice and long. You might let the low back arch, the belly rise towards the ceiling. Reaching through your fingers, big inhale. As you exhale, keep your right arm over your head. This next one might feel a little funky, and I'll walk you through it. Bend your knees. Once again, placing your feet on the floor. We're going to return to your right side, but this time you're going to leave your right arm above your head. So you're actually lying on your right arm itself, right bicep as a pillow. From here, you can keep the knees bent if that feels most stable to you. If you want a bit more, you're going to extend the legs forwards and try to create a nice long line with your body rather than having the feet too forwards. This is going to engage, though, into your obliques and your abdominals. You'll have to kind of fight not to mermaid the hips a little bit side to side. From here, take your left arm above your head. See if you can grab a hold of your left wrist with your right hand. Then you're gently going to draw the left wrist over your head towards the floor. Long side body stretch down your right side. We'll just take a couple more breaths here. Now release your left hand, bringing your left hand back down to your left hip. Again, you could have both knees bent or bottom leg straight. We're going to bend the top knee and just start to draw your heel towards your right hip. You might immediately find that in your hamstring cramping up. Or you can stay right here. If you're wanting a little bit more, we're going to find a bind. You're going to draw the right heel towards the right hand. See if you can grab a hold of your right foot. I already cramped. This one always gets me on the right side. See if you can grab a hold of your right foot with your your left foot with your left hand. If that is not accessible, you're just going to draw the heel towards the hip without the bind. Good. If you have the bind, you're trying to draw the heel towards your outer hip rather than towards the center of your glutes. That'll track with the hip flexor. You can also kick into the hand. That's going to start to draw the left knee back, give you a bit more of a stretch in the front of the left hip, turns it into a bit of a back bend. And we'll hold here for 2 more breaths. If you have a hold of your left foot, release your left foot, slowly extend the left leg, point and flex the left foot a few times. You can also kind of swing the leg back and forth, get some blood flow back in, maybe bend and extend the leg. Good, and then slowly bend both knees. And one more time, we're going to roll to your back. Again, adjust hips in line with shoulders. Extend both of your legs forwards out in front of you. Reach both of your arms over your head. Big stretch from the fingers to toes. From here now, you'll leave your left arm above your head, bringing the right hand down. Bend the knees. And now roll to your left side, and you'll use your left bicep as a pillow above your head. Try to keep your hips in line with your shoulders. Again, you're either going to stack bent knees, or if you want more of a challenge, extend your legs forwards, but try to have the legs in line with your hips. So the legs aren't shifted forwards. Again, that's going to engage a bit more in your core. Might be more work not to mermaid the hips. If you feel like it's too much of a struggle, keep a bend in the knees. From here, reach your right arm over your head. See if your left fingertips can catch a hold of the right wrist. You're going to give yourself a little wrist and shoulder stretch here, gently drawing the right fingertips towards the floor above your head. Good, couple more breaths here. Now release your right arm, once again placing your right hand on your right hip. From here, we're going to bend your right knee, drawing your right heel towards your outer right hip or glute. You can just work on bending the knee. If you want more and it's accessible, your right hand will now reach for your right ankle or your right foot. Try to grab for the outer ankle or foot rather than the inside. That just helps you track the heel towards the outer hip rather, again, than forcing that right knee down or the right heel towards the left side of the hip. If you have a bind, you can draw the heel towards the outer right hip, or you can kick into the hand. Both are going to give you different variations of this stretch. The drawing of the heel towards the hip will be a bit more stretch for the quad and area around the knee. Kicking into the hand creates blood flow around the knee, activates those muscles, and then it stretches you a little more in the psoas area front of your left hip. We'll take a couple more breaths here. Good. If you have a hold of your right foot, let that bind slowly go. Again, extend the right leg, point and flex your foot. Circle out the ankle. Give the leg a little swing back and forth. A couple bends and stretches. Again, gaining some blood flow back through the right leg. And then once again, we'll bend both knees. Resting just about 2 more breaths on your left side. And now this time, nice and slowly, you'll begin to press yourself once more up to seated. Facing me at the front of your mat. From here, let's give the legs a little extend forwards. Point and flex, circle out your ankles. From there, bend both knees. Take your feet about the width of your yoga mat, a little wider, with the toes slightly turned outwards, heels in. Walk your fingertips back behind you. We're going to windshield wiper the knees from here. Give the hips a little bit more of a release. Maybe the glutes, a little bit of a massage. Good. Once you feel like you're even both sides, come back up to seated. And this is where we're going to find deer pose. This can be kind of a hard pose if you have tighter knees, tighter hips. So I'm going to give you different options. I'll show you the full deer pose first, and then I'll show you the options from there just so you know where we're going. Your right foot is going to be your front leg. So I'm going to take the right leg until it's parallel towards the top of your mat. Ankle in line with your knee. Then from here, the left leg is going to cross back behind you. And this is the part that might be a little inaccessible for some knees and hips. So you'll have the left leg back behind you. Eventually the left hip will go back in line with, or the left knee will go back in line with the left hip. So what I mean by that is you create more of a hashtag or a parallel line between right and left. That can be very inaccessible for tighter hips. So it is perfectly okay to have your left knee more forwards. Where your back heel is placed is also your body structure. So some of us might feel more comfortable with the heel tucked closer into the hip. Some might feel more comfortable with the heel further out. That's your bone structure. The same with how your foot is angled. For me, it's easier to have my toes out, kind of like a frog in a 90 degree. Some people, you might have to have yours pointed behind you. That's your body, that's your bone structure. That's probably never going to change on that end there. If this is not okay for your knees, perfectly acceptable, you have 2 different options. You can have this left leg forwards in just a perpendicular to the floor position. You can also extend it outwards into kind of a half straddle or firefly position, maybe even placing a blanket under the knee so you're not overstretching the knee in an extended position. So that's another option if this is not okay for you for any reason, and that's fine. Wherever we are, we're going to find that adjusted seat. So again, you could be here, or you could be here, your choice. Try to find equal weight in both hips. Your left hip in this position is probably not going to have as much weight, and that's fine, but we're trying to even out the hips. You'll sit as tall as you can. We're going to start with just a little twist to your right, bringing the left fingertips over towards the right knee, right hand behind you as a kickstand, twisting again from your upper body to the right. Inhale, release your twist, upper body back to center. Now from here, we're going to fold forwards just partially until you can bring your fingertips to the floor in front of you. Walk your hands about the width of your legs or a little wider than your shoulders. We're going to do a cat-cow style movement here. Start on the exhale with the rounded back, just a little easier to find. And then your inhale, you'll draw the chest forwards through the arms. It's going to be very, very little movements, mostly maybe upper body and shoulders. Couple more here. Go ahead, take one more full round. This round will end on the exhale, just like we started exhaling into cat. As you inhale, you'll find neutral spine, neutral back. Walk your hands back, come up to seated. Maybe see if you can sit a little heavier towards this hip. Last thing from here, now you're going to take your left fingertips, place them behind your left hip at a slight diagonal. For me, the easiest way to find it is to kind of bring my left fingertips in line with my left heel. So slightly behind the left heel, but we're not twisting. So the left arm's going back, chest is still facing forwards. From here, we're going to bring right ear to the right shoulder. So we're creating a little bit of extra length from shoulder to ear to stretch the neck, right ear to right shoulder. For a little bit more, your right hand's then going to go to the left side of your head. Weight from the arm. We'll slowly bring the ear closer to the shoulder. Just try not to push down. Just let gravity and the weight to do it for you. Couple more breaths here. Let the right hand come back down to your right knee. To release this, roll your chin to your chest. Let the head go heavy. Let your neck reset for a moment. From here, bring your left hand back forwards. Lift your gaze. And now we are going to come to a half straddle. You'll move your left leg with your left hand. So your groin's not doing the work itself. We just stretched it, so we don't want to strain it. Take your left hand behind your left hamstring. Grip that hamstring, lift the leg, lift the knee, and then slowly extend your left leg out to the left. Now you're finding an angle that works for you. How wide the left leg goes is up to your body. You can also, again, maybe place your rolled towel underneath your left knee so the knee isn't overextended. Your right foot then can stay right as it is. For a little more, bring your right foot closer to your inner left thigh, as close as it's comfortable for you, to relax the right knee down. From here, we're going to hinge forwards just a little bit, again, keeping the spine long, placing the fingertips to the mat. Once you're hinging forwards, you're going to start to walk your hands towards your left leg. Once your hands reach your left leg, place your left hand on top of your left shin. Take your right hand, place your right hand behind your head, keeping a bend in the right elbow. Make sure you're not pushing on the back of the head. There is a resting place. Now from here, as you inhale, we're going to again twist the upper body. So you'll sort of press the left hand against the left shin, start to lift your right elbow to the ceiling, opening the chest, And then as you exhale, start to bring the right elbow back down towards the left leg. We'll do 5 more of those. Inhale, start to open, lifting the right elbow upwards. The gaze could follow or the gaze could stay down. And then exhale back down. 3 more. Inhale. And exhale. 2. Inhale. And exhale. Last one. Inhale. We're going to hold this one as the right elbow peels open. We hold the side body stretch. To take this a little deeper, lift the elbow higher as if you were trying to lift the armpit to the ceiling. You can stay here for a little more. Reach your right fingertips over your right ear as if you're going to grab a hold of your left toes. Find that extension for a full breath. Good. Now use your right side body, right oblique, straight arm. You'll inhale, lift the upper body to seated. As you come to seated, cross your right hand behind your right hip, about a foot behind the hip. We're going to roll to your right side, turning the left toes down. So you're on the inside edge of your left hip. Left hip will lift. Left fingertips are going to go over your head. You can stay here, modified version of gate. If you want more, you're going to come to your right knee, right shin, lift your hips, and then press them forwards till you feel more stretch down the left side. Hold for 3, 2, take an inhale. As you exhale, return the hips to the mat if they were lifted. Slowly allow the upper body to come around to center. Good. We're going to fold a little bit, one time, one breath, coming forwards. And then slowly walking your hands back into seated. Now the same thing we're going to do with the left hand. We're going to bend the knee using the hand rather than bending the knee using the knee. So you'll slide your left hand underneath your left knee. Use the hand to lift the knee. Once the left knee is bent, lift the right. Uncross, set the feet down, fingertips behind you. Take a moment to windshield wiper the knees. And then once again, you're even on both sides. Come back up to seated, walking your hands back in. Now we'll take the left shin, cross the left shin in front of you until it's parallel towards the top of your mat. Again, options for your deer pose, keeping the right knee bent, left knee out, extending the right leg forwards, coming right off the bat into the wide straddle, or crossing the right leg back behind you. Again, this might not be accessible for your knees, and that's okay. I didn't mention on the other side, but if you feel like maybe this side or the other side was tighter, if that hip is just way off the ground, you could always place that rolled up towel or a pillow underneath that hip to kind of try to even out the hips as well. This side for me is a lot tighter, so my butt cheeks quite high off the ground and getting it to rest on the ground like I could on the other side isn't really accessible. So using that pillow for support so you're not overstretching is always an option. Again, however you choose to be in those 3 options that I gave you, we're going to try to sit as tall as you can. Starting first with a twist, your right hand will come over to your left knee. Left fingertips just kick back or kickstand back behind you, twisting from your ribs and shoulders, looking to your left. Try to relax down through your right hip. One more breath here. And now again, releasing from the twist, upper body forwards. Once your upper body is forwards, we're going to lean forwards. So leaning kind of from the hips. until you can place the fingertips on the mat in front of your left leg. Hands will be a little more than shoulder width distance apart. Start with the exhale, start with the cat. So you'll exhale, round your back. And then as you inhale, think about the fingertips kind of pulling backwards on the floor to bring your chest forwards. We'll do 4 more of those. Rounding into these cat-cow type shapes. Okay, couple more. You'll find one more cycle of breath. And again, the breath cycle will end with the cat, the rounding on the exhale. Inhaling to neutral. And then exhaling to walk your hands back up to seated. Again, you're trying to sit as tall as you can. Finding as much equal weight in your hips as you can. Now we'll take your right fingertips, cross them back behind you. Again, at a slight diagonal to the back of your right hip. I kind of aim them for the back of my right heel, but the chest is going to stay forwards rather than it going into a twist. So the fingertips are just kind of going at an angle. Left ear to left shoulder now, till you feel length from right shoulder to right ear. And for a bit more, left hand will go on the right side of your head. Weight of the arm and palm, but no actual pressure or pulling. Couple breaths here. Good, release the left hand back down. The right hand back forward. Chin to chest, head heavy. Your right hand now is going to go behind your right hamstring. Use the hand to lift the right knee, bringing it slowly forwards. As it comes forwards, you'll extend out towards your half straddle. Prop yourself as needed, maybe putting the rolled up towel or pillow underneath your right knee to give the knee support so it's not overextended. Left leg can stay parallel. You can squeeze that left heel a little closer in towards the inside of your right leg if accessible. So adjusting as needed, finding equal weight in the hips. We're going to start with just a little half forward fold. It's kind of, again, keeping the upper body nice and long, but leaning forwards towards the center of your legs. And then from there, we'll start to walk your fingertips towards your right leg. So your upper body is already kind of starting to lengthen out over the right leg. From there, place your right palm on your right shin. And then your left hand behind your left head. Your left head behind your head. Try not to push on the head itself. No strain in the neck. Your next inhale will start to twist to the left, lifting the left elbow, twisting the rib cage open. And then exhale, letting the ribs and the elbow release back down towards the floor. 4 more of those. Inhale. You can use pressure from the right palm to help the twist. And then exhale back down. A couple more. Again, no pressure from your left hand, no strain in your neck. Finding the range of motion from your ribs. This next one will hold. As your left elbow lifts, the left ribs pull up and back, you'll hold here. Again, for a bit more, lift the elbow higher towards the ceiling as if you were trying to hold or lift from the armpit. For still more, feel free to extend the left fingertips over your left ear, reaching towards your right toes. We'll hold for 3, 2, big breath. Use the left obliques, left side body. Inhale, come up. As the upper body lifts, your left hand is going to plant about a foot behind your left hip. We'll now roll towards your left knee so your right hip lifts. Inner edge of the right toe spin down. Bring your right arm over your ear. Stay here, or for more, send the weight towards your left shin, left knee. Lift your hips, come up into gate, pressing the hips and heart forwards. 3, 2, use your exhale to lower the hips once more, back down to the mat. This time as you come forwards, we're going to take that little bitty forward fold, just a little lean forwards to get that last stretch in the inner left hip and thigh. And then you'll lock your hands back in. Slide your right hand under your right knee. Use the right hand to bend the knee to lift the leg. Place the foot back on the mat. Left leg back on the mat. Walking hands back one more time. Windshield wiper your knees. Good. From here, make sure you are about center or just a little slightly forwards of center on your mat. So adjusting maybe hips down or up. I'm going to go to your back from here. So with the knees bent, just walk the hands back until you can lower to one forearm, then the other forearm, and then slowly roll your spine down from there, one vertebrae at a time. Once your head comes to the mat, keep a bend in the knees, placing the feet on the floor. Again, let the knees windshield wiper a few times, side to side. Bring the knees back to center, finding neutral teepee, feet wide, knees together at center. Grab opposite elbows across your chest, forming a box, just hovering above your chest. We're going to windshield wiper the elbows a few times from side to side, just giving the shoulders a last little bit of love. Draw a few circles now, circling your forearms towards your belly, up towards your forehead. About 4 circles in one direction, and then 4 circles back the other direction. Once you're even, and allow the arms to fall out into that wide A position. Now, let's press into the back of your head. Try to let the low rib cage lift. And then one vertebrae at a time, you're going to kind of walk the shoulders out wide and then slowly again press the spine into the floor as if you were rolling your back onto the mat. Feel free to keep your knees in this teepee position. You're also free to extend your legs forwards into a more traditional relaxation position. Maybe placing a pillow underneath your knees to take the weight off of your low back. Give your feet maybe a point and flex if the legs are extended. Maybe some final windshield wipers if your knees, if the knees are bent. Give your fingers a wiggle. Make any last adjustments to your body that feel necessary to allow your body to feel comfortable, to find a space of rest. If comfortable, close your eyes. And once again, start to bring your vision back to an internal vision. Starting with your toes, letting your awareness run up your body. Listening for any subtle messages that your body might be trying to give you in this moment. Returning those messages with ones of love, patience, understanding. As you scan through your body, if you feel tightness, tension in any area, imagine your breath being directed to those areas. The inhale expanding, the exhale releasing, carrying with it tension, stress, fatigue. As your body begins to find stillness and rest on your mat, take a moment to come back to your breath. Notice how quiet the breath becomes once the body is still. Once again, bring your awareness to your hands, placing your thumbs against the pads of your index fingers. Start to draw gentle circles of thumb to index. Move your thumbs to your middle fingers, soft circles, to your ring fingers, and then to your pinkies. Holding thumb to pinky, you'll tap thumb to pinky, thumb to ring, thumb to middle, thumb to index. Curl your fingers now a few times in and out of fists. Start to wiggle your toes, finding larger movements, wrists, ankles, hands and feet, head, shoulders. Slowly, soft movements, awakening your body. Eventually stretching long as if you've just woken in the morning. With an exhale, bring your knees back into your chest for one final hug. A moment here maybe to rock a few times, draw some final circles. Roll over once again to whatever side feels most comfortable. A breath or two once more to relax, to soften, to pause. And then slowly return up to seated. Any seated position that feels comfortable for you. We'll take one more final breath together. Inhale, circle your arms above your head, stretching through your fingertips. Connect your palms, exhale, hands to the heart. Thank you very much for joining me today and sharing your practice with me. Namaste.